Let nature run its course. The message that's coming through for you so clearly and actually symbolically is the flowing current, the higher intelligence that you are, that streamlines through this vessel as a mere conduit. The bioplasma being experiencing life through this carbon-based life form that I'm hearing grants it access into temporal moments through space-time, tangible experiences to the eternal being, because you are the higher realms meeting itself in the physical over and over again. I'm seeing it as ethereal, fluid, cosmic. And there's a quote that's coming through for you, and it's, allow or let the waters settle, and you'll see the stars and moon mirrored in your being. That's by Rumi, right? Yeah, when the emotional body runs so high, it can obstruct or distort the way that we see ourselves as these eternal cosmic beings. And I'm just seeing something so beautiful unfolding when it comes to the merging of your divine nature and your human nature. And I'm even just feeling a lot of emotions opening up. I believe it's because happy new moon in Cancer, my love. You know, this is actually designed with that gravitational force of the moon to merge your non-physical and physical aspects, and to not see yourself as separate from the divine being that you are. It's the full merging of your human nature and your divine nature, and honoring, I'm hearing both dual aspects. So we have a really interesting and beautiful astral travel message, but this is how you're going to know that this is for you. Because I did indeed see you in the astral. We're going to run through these messages together. But the main theme is about using this. This is blending your most multidimensional, otherworldly aspects and attributes, and being able to ground and anchor this voice box, this engine of creation that holds the power to alter the trajectory of your life. And that could be about living more authentically, living in a way that feels more authentic to you, to this version of you at this stage of your evolution journey. And as you, I'm seeing, embody that higher example within your current continuum, your current coordinate within space-time, your current timeline, reality begins to rearrange itself to correspond and mirror and reflect the internal level of coherence that you're seated in as you roam this earth according to that divine essence. I'm hearing the divine anchors you into the physical world, and you then become a bridge between the higher realms and the lower realms. And I'm seeing it as a bridge internally. There is this bridge to that source, to that power that's within you. It's not anywhere external. So let me go ahead and read this for you, and then we're going to open up, right? Then we're going to begin. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was really, really powerful, this astral travel message. And there could be something around the heart and kind of an experience being designed to break your heart open, to allow you to return to yourself, to return to what's always been there. I'm hearing beneath the surface, beneath the noise, has been that still silent observer. And that silent observer is greater than any experience that unfolds before you. I'm hearing you're doing it not just despite of outer temporary conditions, but in spite of it. You're utilizing something as a catalyst, as a sense of fuel that further accelerates you along your journey. You're showing up for yourself in this lifetime in a way that you weren't able to do in the past, and the reoccurring theme through many parallels and lifetimes. I'm just seeing something transform through the way that you experience energy exchanges on earth. So the throat chakra is found between our collarbones, and it's the energetic center that governs self-expression. Whether we have to speak up, raise our voice, or even just get our emotions out, it is activated. We'll often feel this space is clogged up energetically, or when it needs to open, because we'll feel a lump in our throat or even our heart. Hold. This card, I'm hearing the body is always speaking to you, and we know this. Emotions are informers. Behind every emotion or sensation is information, and it's actually a dimension within you that has been repressed and suppressed, that's blocking you from vast portions of your potential and what your life experiences could look like on this planet Earth within this lifetime. And it's desiring to be acknowledged. There's something that's desiring to be addressed, and bringing your awareness to those repressed or suppressed parts of yourself is an alchemical process, because once you bring awareness to it and you accept that, okay, this is maybe an entire dimension or facet of myself myself that I've kept, maybe I'm hearing not exposed to something that's been hidden in the shadows, or something that has been, let's just say, I feel like it's that repression or suppression. It's contracted and it's desiring to be expanded in some way. And that also expands your capacity to experience a new realm of possibilities in this life. Anyway, this card transports us to the Temple of Truth, and it's our inner gateway that supports our truest form of expression. The image shows that this is a bright, airy, open space with flowing water, and this represents the emotions that run through us. Emotions are powerful messengers, and if we don't attend to what needs to come out all through us, they build up before we know it. We're overwhelmed by them. When you're brought to this space, you're being reminded of the importance of your identity and your self-expression within this lifetime. Acknowledging who you are, who you've been, and who you are becoming is important for the unfoldment of your path. There's an old story that the truth hurts. This gateway is here to remind you that, in fact, the truth heals. Your truth is your truth, and it's important for you to honor it with every facet of your being. Truth is also multidimensional. It can seem like it's contradictory to feel this way while simultaneously feeling another way, maybe like bittersweet type of energy. But no, you're multidimensional, and so two truths can coexist simultaneously, not just external when it comes to your opinion and my opinion, but also they can coexist within you. I'm hearing a truth to the ego. It could be something experience feels like poison, but truth on a soul level is that this experience that you're opening yourself up to feels like medicine for the soul in many ways. So that's what it feels like is going on. I'm hearing also medicine for your ancestors, okay? Which is one body of consciousness that you pull forward as a portal, right? As you shift the way that you're thinking and feeling about your experiences on earth, and shifting the way you're relating to them, which is transforming your resonance, and also what you're in resonance with after that fact of you holding that and sustaining that frequency within your vessel. That's what determines your vibration. And I'm hearing what you pull in from that level of internal alignment begins to correspond through the world around you, within the world around you. All right, this also talks about it may be the first time in which you've had the full freedom of expression. This gateway is coming to you today as a message that there's something buried deep inside of you that hasn't been expressed, and it's causing energetic blockages on this ever unfolding path. It's time to love yourself enough to honor the feeling that's rising up in you, for they are divine guidance, and this will bring you into greater alignment. Now, let's run through these. Yeah, of course we do. We have ancestral realms with boundaries. And so the body physiologically has certain, patterns of behavior that it has inherited through societal engineering. And, the more that we weave this through generations, we understand that this is something that has been reoccurring. So it feels like you're breaking some kind of reoccurring theme. And I actually saw that in the astral. We're going to get to it. And this is also creating boundaries. Karmic release is you putting a new cause into the system, which then creates a new effect. A new action creates a new reaction. We are universal citizens, and so we're abiding by particular universal laws, which, we are all having to honor, right? So it feels like there's a pattern of karma that you're breaking free from, and it's leading to not just a point of divergence, but a point of convergence. I'm seeing you travel between two continuums, and it's like you're bridging them. Something around when two becomes one, but it's you embodying your higher self in physical form and no longer seeing it as separate. So let's begin with the first astral travel message. And in this scene, I'm just going to run through the notes. Again, this is just a free flow session. So if you know the vibe. I just know this has to get out today. So I'm just trusting that flow. Anyway, the first scene was you granting permission for any stagnant or accumulated energy to dissipate and move on. So there's an alchemical process that's happening through this level of self-awareness that you have around your own patterns of behavior, even unconsciously. And to break those patterns of behavior is to do something in the present moment to activate your free will. And the application of your free will leads to you doing something different than your unconscious would have done. So this is For example, bringing awareness within the present moment to interrupt a pattern that you're inside of, because the version of you that created the pattern and the one that's inside of the pattern observing it are two different octaves within you. And there's something around you rising up, or experiences rising up to greet you and invite you to do something that you haven't done before. And that could be actively disrupting your comfort zone and seeing how that opens up new timelines of experience for yourself. So maybe if that's where you've, suppressed your truth, or you've held something back in some way, there's something around the art of communication itself. Even if that's the way that you have this internal dialogue with your own soul's expression. And I also saw you alchemizing any stagnant debris within your auric field, and that was leading to more fluid ways of moving through this system. So again, it's crystalline thought forms that have been reinforced time and time again. What is a thought form? It's a thought that has been reinforced through a very strong emotion. So for example, it may be, I'm unworthy of speaking my truth, or I feel like I'm disconnected from my power, or power always lies elsewhere. Well, ancestrally, that has been repeated time and time again, then the system that we incarnate into, or the lineage that we are called forth to incarnate into, this debris or these crystalline thought forms that can essentially pollute the runways of life force, or the embodiment of source really being able to flow through us freely as conduits. It interrupts or scatters our creative ability because we're repeating these ancestral patterns instead of applying our free will and actually creating in the system from a place of not being held back by inhibitions or fear. We're not making decisions based off of pressure or fear, but instead what genuinely feels in alignment with our highest expression, and being able to honor that. It's the moment we become greater than our mind and our emotional state, and we shift our bioelectrical charge, because you're a bioelectrical being, which also shifts the way that you navigate planet Earth. So I saw a deep energetic clearing that was taking place for you, where you were releasing an ancestral wound. So this was a wound that was carried across lifetimes that had restricted the flow of your voice or your expression. So this being was clearing throat chakra blockages in the astral realm, and they were releasing this wound carried across lifetimes. That healing begun by acknowledging the unseen energy. So this is what's happening within your emotional realms, your inner realms, and the historic events within your timeline around how that accumulated. Okay, so, and the main message that I saw, and the turning point for this human in the astral realm, which is you, was you had to risk looking silly to follow your soul's calling. And you knew why you had to do it. Nobody else really understood it, but there was an understanding that was felt from you and your embodiment, even if it wasn't announced, even if it wasn't spoken on. There was like this unspoken role, is what I'm seeing it as, like an unspoken recognition of, all right, this has to be done. Like clearly this being is living in their power, and I'm seeing this as other humans observing you, right? Other deities in this system observing you. I'm seeing what happens when a deity awakens and is no longer lost and sleeping in matter, and is consciously participating as a interactive element within this system instead of just a passive observer of their experiences. So yeah, you were being shown that by following your soul, it may require you to move forward without external validation and simply be guided by your internal navigation system, and just a knowing that can't be explained but will be experienced and felt through this embodiment. So a cycle was interrupted in that moment, in that specific moment within space-time. So yeah, choosing to trust yourself when it comes to your innate expression, and breaking some kind of repeated, continued pattern across lifetimes. I'm going to go ahead and pull one message for this, and then we're going to move on to the next scene. But yeah, it feels like, and this was also something you were recognized for, by the way, because I also wrote that you were being recognized for something. Someone is going viral as well, and this goes out and it finds those who are in resonance with it. And I said, what was once unseen is now ready to be recognized, amplified, and carried towards the people who were always meant to receive it. So there's an energy of, I don't know, something that you're like, either people are recognizing this within you. There's a level of just, walking the path of integrity, walking that integral path. Let's see what this is. Okay, we have light curve. I love this for you because it talks about something that's susceptible over change, and it talks about fluidity. It literally is a card of adaptability. I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick. I'm also being guided to pull Shaman's Dream Oracle message, so I'll do that. But when does the light collapse, right? When does the light wave collapse? When it's observed. And there's something around new consciousness being something that collapses into a very specific archetype. It could be the archetypal role that you're playing, where maybe you've grown out of let's say, pages in the tarot kind of embodiments, and you've elevated into a king status or emperor status, but there's some type of, I'm hearing, cyclical pattern that you're observing within yourself, and that could be where you're still having to hold yourself and be that sense of strength for yourself, or be that anchor for yourself as you navigate this new terrain. It's like trusting yourself, essentially. So let me go ahead and read light curve. It literally talks about fluidity returning. I'm just seeing the light wave collapses when it's observed. When consciousness becomes aware of itself, it begins to behave very, very differently. And there's something around you being inside of an experience encoded into your field. You're always experiencing circumstances, events, yourself, and people, places that are encoded into your field that always serve and benefit for the soul's evolution. I'm seeing you practicing or exercising something that you haven't been able to do up until now. So it feels like a really strong invitation, like wave, to interrupt some kind of pattern of behavior. So a changeable wave and embracing the changes. The variation of brightness of an object over time. It provides information for the physical processes that occur. The process will be beneficial as it's luminous, but its stability will vary in intensity since the path is not linear. You know what it is? When somebody is triggered, they don't act their age, they act the age of when the wound was created. And I'm seeing a wound at sight being located, and that could be within you, whether that's within this lifetime or parallel ones. I'm just seeing a wound being addressed, like getting to the root of something in order to alchemize it. Where does this really stem from? Where does this pattern of behavior really, really stem from? Let's talk about self-sabotage. There could be something to do with this. The memory will prevent resignation or abandon from happening while the wave is changing, knowing that hope should not be abandoned. Yeah, listen to this part, right? All right, it's important to remember this at the bottom of the wave. The light will shine again. This memory will prevent resignation or abandon from happening. You know what it is? You know too much to go back. This is like when consciousness expands into new dimensions, it can no longer return back to its old form. You're literally anchoring your higher self into your current coordinates within space-time, like your current timeline, and your timeline is beginning to respond to this embodiment. That's what it is. It says we cannot predict the adventure and how it will unfold. So your key is to navigate fluctuating waves, whether that's internally or how you're going to be navigating external factors. And eventually, it doesn't even matter about what's going on externally. What matters is the relationship that you've cultivated and anchored within yourself, because that version of you moves through you as you move through every circumstance within space-time. And it gets to a point where consciousness expands to such a degree where you no longer see yourself as just this localized vessel moving through space-time, but you are the very field of space-time hosting and holding your vessel. So there's that type of energy, right? So the key to progress is versatility. And then you also have selective shield here at the base, which basically talks about, it's a really interesting message. Actually, it's a lot to do with protecting your energy, protecting your peace, not allowing external things to govern the relationship that you have with yourself, and just trusting that you are doing everything, I'm hearing, in your means as a creator to participate within the experience of the third dimension. That's what I'm seeing. So awareness of the energy surrounding us. Yeah, being where I have been and with whom I have been, letting yourself be carried away by the total feeling of absolute. This is a force field that stops the entry of foreign energies and like penetrating your field. That's basically what it talks about. And it repels all kind of external penetration, where it's to the point of self-awareness that when a thought enters your force field, you're like, Get curious. Where does that thought come from? Is it something ancestral that I'm just accepting as my truth? Where is that truth? I'm seeing something around investigative energy that you're going through when it comes to investigating what that point of origin is. Maybe it's something within the collective field, but is it my truth? What is in alignment with my highest expression? It also says, awareness of the energy surrounding us. We distance ourselves from people, we get closer to others, and then we look back and we don't really understand who we were and how we are so different now. We distance ourselves for a while, we meet again later, and we reconnect with people as if we've known them our whole lives, while others suddenly feel alien to us. All these sequences are linked to your vibration. You attract what vibrates similarly or in a similar way to you. If your energy changes, so does your environment for your own evolution. Do not resist letting go of what you no longer feel part of for the simple fact that you once did. For something new to enter, you have to make room by letting go of the old. Resistance only brings conflicting energies. So this also talks about like a poorly made field, right? For example, leakages of your life force where external opinions, perspectives, or things that people are doing govern your internal state of being. No, the internal relationship that you fostered with yourself should govern the way that you exchange your life force very, I'm hearing intentionally and very lucidly with the third dimension. Okay, this is about energy exchanges. If there are energy leaks, check who or what is outside or inside of our shield and whether or not it's tuned into our inner planet. This reminds me of a quote that I posted the other day. I'm going to go ahead and read it on my community page because you need to hear this. Okay, there you go. And the lights are out. You need to hear this. So again, some kind of reset of perspective. All right, this post was, let me see, I think it is, all right. Maybe I didn't post it. Okay, this is one. I came across a quote that said, "Let me fall if I must. The one I am becoming will catch me." The other message was all about, let me see if I can find it real quick. Sorry, I don't feel like editing much today. Okay, so when observed something simple, we see that if someone's words disturb you, it means you believe that they have the power to define you, and that belief is the real problem. The discipline of embracing every event as necessary for your path is a 𝓦𝓸𝓻𝓪𝓷𝓽. And the earth in your body is the instrument through which the mind expresses itself in the physical world. There was also another message. Oh, you know where it is? I think it's on my story on Instagram. Let me see. All right, so if someone's words disturb you, it means you believe that they have the power to define you. So yeah, that's literally this exact same thing. There's something that's going on, whether that's external behaviors or something like this. Anyway, let me move to the next scene in the astral. So the next scene I saw was a flooding that was taking place, and there was a newborn baby that was there, and there was a phone that was being held above water, and it made it through. So the flood represents emotional or energetic release, while the newborn baby symbolizes a new life that's emerging from it. And the surviving phone suggests that your voice, your message, is all to do with communication, remains intact even through this transition. And it feels like the relationship that you have either to a higher power or the relationship that you have with your own soul's expression, that cannot be compromised. I'm hearing that is like an indestructible internal connection that is formed. The analogy that I had for this was a voice that had been trapped behind a locked door across lifetimes. And finally, you incarnate into this carbon-based life form, and you have this moment being granted to you where you finally get to choose to express yourself instead of self-conceal, right? Whether that's something that you're trying to repress. And as soon as you do that, you interrupt this old cycle. I'm hearing you interrupt this old model or pattern of behavior, and you begin modeling a different example. Something that would have definitely been not modeled to you by guardians in maybe your own lineage, and it just feels like what was previously hidden is now in a position to become capable of allowing the right people to find it, to find you. Maybe it's your message or something that you're kind of putting out there, but it comes to a point where it reminds me of this thing. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you real quick. there comes a point where you realize that even hiding is performing, pretending that you have nothing to share while your soul, on the other hand, craves to be expressed is a performance act all on its own. Most people underestimate the sheer amount of energy it takes to silence their soul. It depletes your cells to the core, and it robs you of the opportunity. Okay, I was supposed to say of the energy, but apparently the opportunity that you need to create a meaningful change in your life. The only moment when you stop performing is when you let truth lead, when you let your heart call the shots. Okay, when you let your open heart call the shots, when you let your authenticity be your default way of being, and I'm seeing that become your state of homeostasis. Anything else is performance. And I'm hearing that's the performance of the ego, attempting to kind of protect itself in many ways. What it's created as a survival mechanism when navigating this system. And the thing is, once you elevate your vibration, which is elevating your thought patterns, your emotions, your belief systems, you ascend into a higher octave, and the quality of your exchanges on planet Earth begin to mirror and reflect the relationship that you have with yourself. Because guess what? The relationship that you have with yourself bleeds into every area of your life. We do not cast external judgments unless we judge internal octaves within ourselves. Love is the absence of judgment. Truly, it's a different level of state of awareness. It's unconditional love is pure awareness. You have the cosmic network. Wow. So this is the morphic field as well, right? It's how the non-physical manifests into form. It's essentially the instruction manual of how everything in the non-physical, let's say etheric layers of yourself in the emotional body, expresses itself in the physical, because we actually, we create in the physical realm utilizing our emotions much of the time. And I'm seeing we actually understand the impact of that. For example, we can possess as conduits the feeling of anger, or let's say the feeling of shame. And when we allow that emotion to possess us as a non-physical vessel, like a non-physical being, and in the physical sensation, we take on that archetype and we begin making decisions from that vibrational state, and it blocks us off from so many experiences that cannot be accessed unless we tune into dimensions of compassion. Compassion allows us to gain access to realms of experience that being possessed by anger or being possessed by shame or guilt will never grant us. And so there is this energy of, how do I explain it? You get it, right? Awareness is seated above all. Awareness sees anger, it sees guilt, it sees shame, but shame, guilt is not able to see awareness. It can only be recognized by it. And so with Cosmos here at the base as well, this is unlocking your own cosmic nature once again. It just feels like something that is desiring to unfold from you is the word that's coming through. Something that's desiring to unfold. It's going to take like an angel number message. I'm hearing this is going to be super specific. We do have 999 at the base, which is release. Endings are new beginnings in disguise. An ending symbolizes the closure of one door and the opening of another. The whisper is reminding you to release and allow, because it's in the release where the magic happens. I'm hearing, who are you without either your wounds, or who are you without, this circumstance that we identify ourselves with? 000 guidance. This says you have full support of the divine, and the guidance that you're seeking is here, and your life is moving in the right direction. This is the start of a new beginning where one cycle ends and a new one begins. I trust the magic of new beginnings, and I feel the support and guidance that's all around me. And I'm hearing also moving through you. Then you have 1818 at the base with optimism. And this talks about successful manifestation of your abundance is near. Higher levels of optimism are needed as abundant beginnings are on the horizon. I'm seeing you as the horizon, right? Brightest days always come after the darkest nights. So there is something... Oh, I was going to get a Shaman's Dream Oracle message, wasn't I? Let's get a Shaman's Dream Oracle message for this. And then I'm going to probably love and leave you right there, my love, because I just want this to be a... I just want this to be a quicker message today. Let's see. Okay, joyful muse. I love this. Have a little bit of playtime, right? Your soul experiencing itself in the third dimension. What does that mean? There's always going to be a level of contrast here. There's always going to be a level of resistance. Your soul has incarnated within this dimension to be able to experience the journey of your choices. And I'm hearing new choices lead to a new journey. You can interrupt the choices that the unconscious would have made. I think Carl Jung said it best, which is until the unconscious becomes conscious, or we bring consciousness to our unconscious, then the unconscious will continue to guide our life, and we'll just call our experiences fate, because we're just passive pawns on this chessboard of this dimension. But instead, no, this isn't. You're an interactive element. You're an integral interactive elemental factor within this universal kingdom. Honey. So let me go ahead and read 33. What are you going to do? What are you going to choose? I'm hearing, yeah, okay, all right. Inspiration, the gift of play, inner child. The joyful muse, because the thing is, the soul is never in a rush, and the soul never judges. The soul is always observing in that still, quiet place. And to have more mirth and joy in your life, you have become boring even to yourself, even as others continue to find you interesting. This is you being called to be more playful. Circumstances have dulled your edges, and it's time to change, not the things around you, but your attitude. Blow a morning kiss to yourself in the mirror. Smile to a stranger, wink at a child, be mildly but elegantly inappropriate. The joyful muse is a source of inspiration, a wild and disruptive feminine force that compels you to invite more pleasure and delight into your life. Give yourself permission to be mischievous and find the humor in the tragedy, while being careful not to become frivolous. The power of this muse will shake up everyone around you and invite you to create beauty and grace out of the pain and tragedy you perceive in areas of your life. The joyful muse often comes at a time when darkness prevails and the future seems dour. Embrace her gifts, being playful without being silly. Invite the child inside of you to come out for a play date, and he or she will help you to return to your innate innocence. The place of never been there and never done that, even if it's the same routines that you wake up to every morning. There's such a beautiful element to that, and I love it. I think I saw one of you comment on the last message. You were like, you must have Sagittarius in your chart. Yes, I'm a Sag rising. And one beautiful thing about that archetype that we all have within us, whether that's like a degree or, the houses or the signs or symbols or where Jupiter's aspected, is the ability to zoom out. And when we zoom out enough, what feels like a storm eventually becomes a speck. And it is I'm hearing the grand library of experiences. That's what the Akashic Records is. It's the ability for you to create safety in your vessel in such a way that the soul feels safe enough to express and play once again. And you could be doing that in many areas of your life, in many dimensions of your life. And that's ultimately what it all comes back down to. So yeah, with that being said, my love, I'm gonna go so I can get this sent to you ASAP and get that out into the quantum field. Imagine what the aftermath of the storm brings. If you're here, you could be at a fork in the road as well. Are we finished? Like, there's a path that's familiar, but it leaves you feeling unfulfilled. There's also a path that's unfamiliar, and it holds all the fulfillment that you desire. Okay, I'm hearing a reality or an experience on planet Earth that you will deeply admire. Let me get one more message. Come on, leave me right there. Okay, hold on. Wait, that just collapsed. Right, you have the temple path. So it feels like internally, this is your connection to a higher power, also the higher intelligent being that you are, and your connection to your spirit guides that will assist you when it comes to this transition. I'm also hearing a transformation occur. And then you had all these, like the whole deck split on half, but you have blossoming abundance and walking away. So there's something that you're actually walking towards. Instead of focusing on what it is that you're walking away from, there's something that you're walking towards and that you've been making room for, right? That's what this feels like. I'm hearing making room for a new realm of experiences, for, Your life is simply the effect of your cause. And so when we incarnate into a lineage, what we see is the effect of all their choices. That's what karma is. And to interrupt those patterns is to create a new cause in our life, or a new effect in our life, or a new experience, by understanding yourself and remembering yourself as a co-creator in partnership with your own divinity. Because you are the higher realms. You are spirit, descended into matter, descended into form, returning back to its formless and fluid nature before returning back to the light. Each child has a part to play in the cosmos. Each child has a part to play in the cycles. There has always been, and always will be, and always has been, a secret order to things that appear to be disorderly, and a cosmos in what appear to be chaotic. Your freedom lies in your awareness. The greater the awareness, the greater the freedom. Your freedom lies in the ability to see life on earth through the lens of the cosmos, through the lens of the heart space. Recognize the universe as one single being and everything in it. All aspects of yourself is divine, both light and shadow. The divine, I'm hearing, experiencing itself in the physical realm. Everything was birthed from the light. Not everything has to look like light for it to be light. Source is one wearing many masks. So I'm gonna love and leave you right there. If you get it, you get it. You're not just inside the mind of Source. And you're not just dreaming this experience into being, but you're actively living in your dream. Now go out there, beautiful thing, and guide your life in the third dimension towards your chosen destination. Become lucid inside of this dimension and gently guide it towards the destiny that you are creating, not something that's just been handed to you. There are infinite experiences awaiting for you to collapse them through your present embodiment. So keep being magical. I'm going to send you off on your space-time travels. Let me know how this corresponds with your own evolution journey. If you've made it up to this point, I'm going to input this into the system. Comment down below something that's symbolic of the throat chakra. It may be the blue dot, it may be something to do with a vocal box, something that represents the expression of your own soul, maybe even a quote. I really look forward to seeing that from you. And yeah, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. We'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. Also check out Otter Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. One of the proceeds are donated towards otter sanctuaries. And I'll speak to you very soon, my love. Happy new moon in Cancer. Until next time, bye.